Hello students, very good morning to all. As usual, I am going to revise previous sessions in short. In the previous sessions, you have learned about the various concepts of database like what is data, information, database and its properties, file processing system versus database approach. In that, what is typical file system, introduction to the database management system. The next very important concept is file processing system versus database management system. Then functions of database management system, types of database. There are various types of database. Next one is the advantages and disadvantages of database system, various applications of database management system. After that, you have learned different components of database. We have started different components of database in that data abstraction, and today we will start database product. What is database product? It is a digital information that can be purchased. Brokers can also collect information about specific consumers from a variety of public and non-public sources, including court-wise records, census data, that is officially recorded data, and loyalty card program. A database product is a large data set in a format that requires little or no processing or no programming. A database management system is a computer software application that interacts with end users, other applications, and the database itself to capture and analyze data. A general purpose database management system allows the definition, creation, querying, updating, and administration of databases. Database software is a software program or utility used for creating, editing, and maintaining database files and records. This type of software allows users to store data in the form of structured fields, tables, and columns, which can then be retrieved directly or through programmatic access. There are different examples of database product like SQL Server, Oracle database, then Informix, MS Access, MySQL, and so on. Now, database languages. The next concept is database languages. You will get to know about the various forms of languages that are used to deal with the database. Let us understand the basics of database languages, what their tasks are, and how they perform it. A database management system must provide appropriate languages and interfaces for each category of users to express database queries and updates. Remember that for what purpose we are using database languages? For queries and updates. Database languages are used to create and maintain database on the computer. In short, you can say that database languages are the set of statements that are used to define and manipulate the database. Are you getting that? What is database language? It has appropriate language and interfaces to express database queries and updates. Focus on queries and updates. Database languages can be used to read, store, and update the data in the database. They are further divided into 4 categories, but all are purposed to provide the facilities in their specific ways, and most widely used database languages in SQL language. Database languages are as follows. First one is data definition language, that is DDL. Second one is data manipulation language, that is called as a DML. Next one is DCL, that is data control language, and last one is transaction control language, that is TCL. Here the image or that pic shows how database management system languages are divided into 4 categories. You can see here. Let's have a detailed look on first type of database language, that is DDL. DDL stands for data definition language. It is used to define database structure or pattern. Next one, DDL also used to create schema, tables, indexes, constraints, etc. in the database. Using the DDL statements, you can create the skeleton of the database. Next one is data definition language is used to store the information of metadata like the number of tables and schemas, their names, indexes, columns in each table, constraints, and so on. In short, you can say that data definition language is a special kind of language that used to specify the database schema by the set of definitions. Here you can use set of definitions. DDL is also purposed to specify the additional properties of data, that is, it is a language that allows the users to define data and their relationship to other type of data. It is mainly used to create files, databases, data dictionaries, and tables within databases. Next one is here you can see different DDL commands for usage of DDL statements. That commands are first one create, drop, alter, truncate, comment, and rename. Now we will see what are the functions performed by these commands. The first one command is create command. For what purpose create command is used? It is used to create the database or its objects. The different types of objects like table, index, function, views, store procedure, triggers, and so on. For what purpose create? For creating the database and its objects. Second command is drop command. It is used to delete objects from the database. The next command is alter. For what purpose alter is used? It is used to alter the structure of the database. Next command is truncate. It is used to remove all records from a table, including all spaces allocated for the records are removed. Next one is comment. It is used to add comments to the data dictionary. And the last one command, DDL command, is rename. It is used to rename an object existing in the database. These all commands are used in data definition language. The next one database language is data manipulation language. What is data manipulation language? The answer is here. It is a language that provides a set of operations to support the basic data manipulation operations on the data held in the databases. It allows user to insert, update, delete, and retrieve data from the database. The part of data manipulation language that involves data retrieval is called as a query language. Then you have to know what is query. The query is a statement that requests for the retrieval of the information, and the query language is the portion of DML that involves information retrieval. Therefore, query language and data manipulation language, these terms are synonymously used. Here you can see an overview about the usage of DML commands. There are different commands used in the DML like insert, update, delete, select, that is also called as a retrieve. Now we can see for what purpose these commands are used. Insert command. It is used to insert data into the table. Is it easier to remember? Because the name itself says that what is the use of that command. Update, again same, it is used to update existing data within a table. Next one command is delete. Again the same definition, it is used to delete records from the database table. And the last one is select, that is also called as a retrieve. It is used to retrieve data from one or more tables. Here you can see the magic of the words. Insert, to insert data in what? Into table. Sorry, in where? Inserting data into table. Update, update existing data within a table. Delete, what to delete? Delete record from where? Database table. And select, used to retrieve data from where? Again one or more tables. This is the magic of Word. The next very important point is DML, data manipulation language, are further classified into two types. There are two types of DML, like procedural DML and non-procedural DML. Now what is procedural DML? It is required from the user to specify what type of data is needed and one can reach up to that data. And procedural DML, also it is referred as a declarative DML. For what purpose declarative DML is used? That requires from the user only to specify what type of data is needed and it doesn't specify how to reach up to that data. Are you getting the difference between procedural and non-procedural? The procedural provides how one can reach up to that data, but in non-procedural it doesn't specify how to reach up to that data. Non-procedural are easy to learn and use than procedural DML. But in non-procedural DML, that is data manipulation language, when the user doesn't specify how to reach up to that data, this is a responsibility of database system to figure out itself how to do so. In short, data manipulation language focuses on the set of operations to support data manipulation operations. The next one language is data control language. Data control language provides the facility of the authorization in the database. All the commands used in data definition language and data manipulation language, that is in previous two languages, can further be authorized with DCL, that is data control language. Are you getting that? Previous two languages, that is data definition language and data manipulation language, are authorized with what? With which language? Data control language. Data control language includes commands like grant and revoke, which mainly deals with the rights, permissions and other controls of the database system. There is one drawback of DCL is that one cannot roll back the command as DCL allows only, because DCL allows only implicit commit. This mainly occurs in Oracle database. Some of the commands used in DCL are grant and revoke. Now we will see what is grant permission, what is grant command and what is revoke command. Grant, it allows only specific user to perform specific task. That is, it gives users access privileges to database. And the next command is revoke. It allows the cancellation of the previously granted permissions or the denied one. That is, withdraw users access privileges, that is rights given by using the grant command. There are the following operations which have the authorization of revoke, that is connect, insert, usage, execute, delete, update, and select. This is all about data control language. And then now last language is transaction control language. As the name suggests, that transaction control language is used to manage the transaction in the database. The function performed by data manipulation language are further managed by this language. It allows the statements to be grouped together into logical transactions. TCL, transaction control language, performs the following task: commit, rollback, and save point. What is commit? Commit command is nothing but it is used to save the transaction in the database. The next one is rollback command. It is used to restore the database to the last committed state. And the last command in the transaction control language is save point. It is used to store the transaction temporarily such that one can easily roll back to the transaction when needed. Here you learned about different types of database languages. In short, I will revise all the languages. First one is data definition language, which focuses on the database structure. Second one is data manipulation language, which provides set of operations to support the basic data manipulation operations held in the database. The next one is data control language. It provides the facility of the authorization in the database. And the last one is transaction control language, used to manage the transactions in the database. And different commands are included within each language with their functionalities. The next point is data independence. Before knowing data independence, I want to recall one of the most important concept used for data independence is data abstraction. You all are aware about data abstraction, that is hiding the essential information. The main purpose of data abstraction is achieving data independence. For achieving data, in short what? For achieving data independence, you must use the concept data abstraction in order to save time and cost required when the database is modified or altered. One of the biggest advantages of database is data independence. Are you getting that? The data independence is the biggest advantage of database. It means we can change the conceptual schema at one level without affecting the data at other level. It means we can change the structure of database without affecting the data required by the users and program. This feature was not available in file-oriented approach. Now we will see the definition of data independence. It is the ability to modify the schema definition in an level without affecting schema definition in the next higher level is called as data independence. In short, it is defined as a property of database management system that helps you to change the database schema at one level of database system without requiring to change the schema at the next higher level. Data independence helps you to keep data separated from all programs that make use of it. You can use this stored data for computing and presentation. In many systems, data independence is an essential function for components of the system. Next, there are two levels of data independence: physical data independence and logical data independence. What is physical data independence? It helps you to separate conceptual levels from the internal or physical levels. It allows you to provide a logical description of the database without the need to specify physical structures. Compared to logical independence, it is easy to achieve physical data independence. Concentrate here because the next point is what is the difference between physical data independence and logical data independence. If you are clear with the concept of physical data independence and logical data independence, then you are easily differentiate both the points. With the physical independence, you can easily change the physical storage structures or devices with an effect on the conceptual schema. Any change done would be absorbed by the mapping between the conceptual and internal levels. Physical data independence is achieved by the presence of the internal level of database and then the transformation from the conceptual level of the database to the internal level. The different examples of changes under physical data independence is: due to physical independence, any of the change will not affect the conceptual layer. That is, using a new storage device like hard drive or magnetic tape, modifying the file organization techniques in the database, switching to different data structures, changing the access method, modifying indexes, changes to compression techniques or hashing algorithms, change of location of database from say C drive to D drive. What is this? Due to physical independence, any of the changes will not affect the conceptual layer. The next, logical data independence is the ability to change the conceptual schema without changing. Any change made will be absorbed by the mapping between external and conceptual level. When compared to physical data independence, it is challenging to achieve logical data independence. Some examples of changes under logical data independence. Due to logical data independence, any of the following change will not affect the external layer. What is that external layer, internal layer, conceptual level? These all levels you have learned in the data abstraction. Examples are add, modify, delete a new attribute, entity or relationship is possible without a rewrite of existing application program. Merging two records into one. And last one is breaking an existing record into two or more records. This is the examples related to the logical independence. Here again I am going to explain in short what is physical and what is logical data independence. In physical data independence, it is the ability to modify the physical schema without requiring any change in application program. Underline it, without requiring any change. Modifications, second one is modifications at the internal level are occasionally necessary to improve performance. Possible modifications at internal levels are change in file structures, compression techniques, hashing algorithm, storage devices, and so on. Physical data independence separates conceptual level from the internal levels. This allows to provide a logical description of the database without the need to specify physical structure. Comparatively, it is easy to achieve physical data independence. And logical data independence is the ability to modify the conceptual schema without requiring any change in application programs. Modifications at the logical level are necessary whenever the logical structures of the database is altered. Logical data independence separates external level from the conceptual view. Comparatively, it is difficult to achieve logical data independence. Application programs are heavily dependent on logical structure of the data they access. So any change in logical structure also requires programs to change. This is all about data independence and their levels. And the next point is difference between logical and physical independence. If you all are clear about the concepts of logical and physical independence, then you can easily differentiate logical and physical independence. The first difference is in logical data independence, ability to change the logical schema, that is conceptual schema, without changing external schema, that is user's view. And physical data independence is nothing but ability to change the physical schema in logical schema, ability to change the logical schema, and in physical schema, ability to change the physical schema without changing the logical schema. Second one difference is modification is necessary whenever the logical structure of database is altered, and modifications are rarely done in physical data independence, as it is done to improve the performance of the database. The third difference is logical data independence means we will be able to change the logical schema of database without affecting the view level. And in physical database, it means, in physical data independence, it means we will able to change the physical storage without affecting the logical level or view level. The next one difference is logical data independence is more difficult to achieve, but physical data independence is relatively easy to achieve. Next, logical data independence is mainly concerned with the structure or changing the data definition, and physical data independence is mainly concerned with the storage of the data. The next difference is it is difficult as logical data independence is difficult as the retrieving of data is mainly dependent on the logical structure of data, but physical data independence, it is easy to retrieve. Logical independence, data independence concerned with conceptual schema, and physical data independence concerned with internal schema. And the last one difference is examples of both data independence. First, logical data independence example is consider two users A and B. Both are selecting fields employee number. If user B adds new column salary to the same table, it will not affect the user view level. Are you getting the example of logical data independence? There is no any impact on the user view level in logical data independence. But in physical data independence, example is changing the storage to drive of the database from C drive to D drive will not affect the conceptual and view level, as the new changes are absorbed by the mapping techniques. This is all about the differences between logical data independence and physical data independence. Now the last point of today's session is importance of data independence. For what purpose data independence is used? First one is it is helpful it helps us to improve the quality of data. If you want to improve the quality of data, then you can use data independence. Next one is database system maintenance become affordable due to data independence. The enforcement of standards and improvement in the database security is possible due to data independence. The next one importance is you don't need to alter data structure in application programs. Next, permit your developers to focus on the general structure of the database rather than worrying about the internal implementation. The next one is it allows you to improve state which is undamaged or undivided. Also, data independence is used for database incongruity is vastly reduced. And the last one importance of data independence is it is easily make modifications in the physical level is needed to improve the performance of the system. This is all about today's session. In today's session, you have learned database product, different database languages. Next one is data independence and the difference between levels of data independence, that is logical data independence and physical data independence, and the importance of data independence. In the next session, we will see data integrity and the last point of our first unit, that is architecture of database. Here today's session ends. Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a great day.